one other thing I wanted to go over a little bit was Om. And I'm going to teach you Om the way I've been taught by my yoga gurus. And it's my yoga gurus that I've been given diksha from. And so my diksha guru is a yoga teacher. And if you want to hear how Sanjay teaches Om, you can, I think Visti in his last lecture, he began by teaching Om the way Sanjay teaches Om. That's the Shiksha way. Om. Anybody want to give their definition of Om?
Om seems to vibrate the consciousness of the ultimate consciousness.
Why?
I don't know why, it just seems like it does. It just, you get it all the way up there and you just kind of go. I don't have like a logical or academic explanation for it.
Anybody else want to add to Om?
All it comes to me is it's like the original impulse, the original generative first vibration that comes from the absolute, the nature of God or Shiva that's beyond relativity or creation. It's sort of the
Ishwara.
first, what do you call it? Ishwara?
Ishwara.
So it's the first manifestation of creative impulse, pre-form.
Any additions?
It's the first letter in Sanskrit.
The is.
The Om has the first letter, and it's made up of the first letter, and then and
Isn't that the
the three sounds?
Primary colors.
Go ahead.
Oh, the Visti talked about the what about Om? Is that different? Om or
Vibrating voice.
It's more pronunciation, in my opinion.
More pronunciation?
Yeah.
What, the A?
I was taught to break it down into three. Yes. That's been the way that I've been taught. That it is composed of three. It's the Trinity. From the nothing comes the one, from the one comes the three.
Isn't it just a matter of spelling that Om, O-M, the same thing as Om?
Yeah, but that's the pronunciation. They're writing it OM because that's how they're pronouncing it. They're running it together, and they're not separating it. Which, if you look, if it was O, we know the letter in Sanskrit for O, and that's not the symbol for Om. The symbol is actually very interesting because if A and U come together, we get Ow, right? And it's not that either. They actually keep the A and add the U as if the A was actually a consonant. They add that on if you look at the letter. So they even in the symbol, it's kept separate. Now, at the end of our bijas, we have a thing called Anuswar. On the Om, it's very similar to Anuswar, except it's called Anunasika.
Because it has that little moon.
Because it has the moon.
The moon. No.
Anunasika. Now, my Sanskrit teacher, he compared Anuswar to Anunasika as a steel bell to a brass bell. I thought I kind of knew what he meant, but I don't think I do. It's a different type of resonance.
Steel is similar, classic, brass is higher energy.
I guess it's a little softer and tinkly and more beautiful or something of the nature.
Steel
from the sound point of view.
Sound.
From the sound point of view.
Oh, right. Oh.
The actual vibration.
Yeah, it's a house.
It's a bit harder. Yeah. So it's the Anunasika, which we could say Anuswar. It's that not closing the actual lip sound. That's not an actual ma-kara, not an actual M. So that means it's 3 vowels. That's why I wanted to do M today, because we did vowels last week. And that's why I wanted to do Om, because it's still 3 vowels. We haven't moved the consonants yet. So in sound philosophy, the first level of sound reality is asabda. Sabda means sound, means not. So it's the level of no sound, nothingness, nirspanda, no movement, no vibration. And from that comes the first vibration. And that first vibration is the Sabda Brahman. It's God as sound. Sabda Brahman. And that Sabda Brahman is Om. That first vibration. Now, the texts tell us that Om is Ishwara. And even Patanjali tells us Om is Ishwara.
Ishwara is a form of Shiva non-manifested?
This is beyond
Okay.
the differentiation of Shiva, Vishnu. This is Sabda Brahman. This is the first vibration, the first manifestation. First there was asabda, no sound. There was nothing. We can't even name it because there's no names at that level, because there is no sound at that level. Patanjali talks about, he says that samadhi can be attained through surrender to God. And then he says that Ishwara is a special Purusha. It's that first manifestation of the divine. And then he tells us that is the original guru. That all the rishis learned from that original teacher, Ishwara. That all the original knowledge comes from that. And then he says that Ishwara is Om. Om is the form or the name of Ishwara. And that meditation on Om is meditation on God. Patanjali tells us this in his first chapter of the Yoga Sutras. Verses like 24 to 27. So Om is the first vibration, which is God. It's that manifest God. Sometimes they call it pranava. From that pranava, the next level of sound is called pasyanti. Now pasyanti is, and I've heard people try and interpret this many different ways. What I love the best is it's the causal body of sound. And from that we have madhyama sound. And madhyama is the subtle body of sound.
Is that the third level? Subtle
Madhyama means middle. And from the physical manifest reality, it's the middle one.
Okay. It's after causal.
Causal, subtle, and gross. And gross sound, anybody know gross sound?
Burping?
Huh?
I can resist.
Vaikari.
Okay.
Vaikari is gross sound. So Vaikari as gross sound is what you're hearing right now when I speak. What happens when you hear sound in a dream?
Oh, what is that?
There's no person there to speak. It's not gross sound, is it?
But aren't we in an illusion here, and your dream is an illusion, so aren't they the same?
But it's an illusion, but it's a gross illusion.
Mm-hmm.
It's the level of Vaikari sound. This plane, the physical plane, is Vaikari vibration and frequency. In the dream, it's a different level of illusion. It's a more subtle level of illusion. So what's the sound that you hear in a dream?
It would be
Madhyama.
Madhyama.
And so the causal body of sound is that which is even beyond and even deeper than the dream. It's that actual mental sound that you hear in your mind.
So Prasyanti is the...
So thought.
It's thought. It's sound at the level of thought. And Om is even deeper than that. Okay, so now we're understanding the depth of Om. That's why I wanted to break down all these levels. So the sound that you hear in your sleep, that's pretty deep. And even beyond, moving beyond even dreaming, that's even more causal, subtler sound. Om is even more subtle than that.
I'm just thinking about people who can hear.
Mm-hmm.
But, you're not hearing in the gross level, but they're hearing things people are clairsentient.
Yeah, who
So
hear,
that's
they're
considered
hearing.
Pasyanti.
Um,
Because you're in this.
it really depends on the person.
Mm-hmm.
Your first level would be people who could hear Madhyama,
Mm-hmm.
who could hear that Madhyama sound.
Mm-hmm.
The rishis are considered to have attained the state where they can hear Om. They don't chant Om, they hear Om. And that's how they heard the Vedas. They could hear these subtle, subtle levels of sound. Now, at the same time that Om is more subtle than all these other realms, the waking state where we hear Vaikari is associated with Brahma. Where that dreaming state is associated with the Vishnu. And that causal state, Shushupti, is associated with Maheshwar. So Om is beyond all of them, but yet contains all of them. So, yeah.
Is that why I have read that it's better to hear a mantra in the mind than to speak it?
Well, this is the thing. To speak it, it's Vaikari Vak. The sound, it's the sound at the Vaikari level, the gross level. And it's good and it'll have an effect. But if you can do it at the subtle level, it's going to have more of an effect. If you can do it at the causal level, it's even going to have a more powerful effect, because from the causal level, it's going to go through all. Now, best is to do all. If you can do it with full dharana, concentration, you can be saying it externally, you can be saying it subtly, you can be saying it because I'm sure you've noticed that sometimes you can be chanting a mantra and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm chanting a mantra. Your mind totally wandered off. Yeah. So that it ended up just being Vaikari. And you weren't doing the other levels. So if you bring your mind and you keep your mind there and you're saying it at all these different levels, then that mantra is going to be much more powerful.
So you could almost be doing two mantras at the same time.
Yeah.
You could be speaking and another one could go into your head.
Well, ajapa, a mantra can become ajapa. Meaning japa, we sit there with a mala. Ajapa means the mantra is just going. So when a mantra becomes perfected, a moksha mantra, it's going in your head. And then you go out, you go to the store, you go shopping, you pay, the mantra's going, you come in, you start talking to somebody, the mantra's still going. It's just ajapa, it's just going inside. And in that way, you don't become attached to the external world. The mind is controlled no matter what you're doing. Now, the primary ajapa mantra is the hamsa mantra, the inhaling and exhaling. Now, there's this one concept, and if anybody wants to read, Arthur Avalon has a wonderful book on this called something Mala, the Garland of Letters. Wonderful book, all about sound and the whole science of this. And in there he talks about the meaning of an object and its meaning, our mental apprehension of it, and the sound that we name it. So there's a book here, that's the object. I can apprehend it, and as I apprehend it, I call it a book. At the Vaikari level, there are three different things. As we get to the Madhyama and Pashyanti level, they're correlated. At the level of the Ishvara, there's no difference. The sound is the object. And its apprehension. There's a unity between the apprehension, the object, and the sound. And so the rishis who were perceiving Om were perceiving at that level. So that's why when we study what the letters are meaning and the sound is meaning, we're trying to get to that level of the sound, where the sound, its meaning, and its apprehension are one.
What's the difference between apprehension and meaning?
Meaning, I'm saying meaning in the actual object.
Okay.
Yeah, like this is the book. Versus my apprehension. This is the book, the artha. The meaning or the object.
It's like a
And the
3D
huh?
knowing. It's like a 3D knowing. I know, I can't.
Yeah, the apprehension is called pratyaya of this book. And then I call it a book in order for my mind to register it and to work with it. Those are three different things, three different processes, where as we get closer and closer and subtler in sound, those three come together. So that the sound is the apprehension, is the actual object. So ka is the creation, is the understanding of creation, and is the sound, which is creation. It's all one. There's no separation when we understand ka at that level. When it breaks down. So certain mantras are based on that sound, that unity of sound. And the philosophy is that the Vedic mantras are working at that level. Where when we get to just general prayers, they're called lokika. They're working more where you separate. At the level of, I pray for the highest good to happen now. You're seeing that good is an object. And you're apprehending that you want there to be the highest good. And then you're using these words to invoke it. So you see there's that split there. So at a certain level there's prayers and mantras that are based on that split, where then there's mantras and prayers that aren't based on that split, where that sound is doing everything. And so Om is working at that level where it is everything. There's no split there. So we can sit here and start talking about the split, but at the level of Om there is no split. Okay. So why is Om important? For us. Why are we even talking about Om now?
We're connecting to the whole unified feel of creativity and creation. Is that intellectual crap?
talking about Om right now?
It's a way of worshiping the divine as we study.
Mm-hmm.
Connecting to
Sanjay says, a Brahmin is one who chants Om. And we come from a tradition that was started by a Shudra who became a Brahmin. So we don't believe that you have to be born a Brahmin to be a Brahmin. We believe that you become a Brahmin, that you have to attain that state of being a Brahmin. A Brahmin should be one who knows Brahman, one who knows God. So what is one who knows God? What is God? Ishwara. Ishwara is Om. So a Brahmin is one who knows Om, is one who chants Om. So as a Brahmin, it's Brahmins, all the texts of Jyotish, they say you have to be a Brahmin to study Jyotish.
We have to chant Om.
So we have to chant Om. Yes.
Well, didn't somebody say, and I can't remember where, that really Om is all you need? You could just forget all the other mantras. You could just do Om all day long.
Guruji says that all the time.
Oh, he said that. Okay.
No, but the thing about chanting Om, if you just only chant Om, it's the only thing you need for moksha.
But in this illusion.
And what happens when you only chant Om is you start to not be attached to anything either. You don't want relationships anymore. You don't want your job anymore. You don't need a house anymore. You just want to go off and chant Om. And so it breaks all attachment when you just chant Om. So at the highest level, yes, you only need Om. If you want to stay in the world and live a little bit more before you're ready to go off on just Om, then we also do other mantras as well. But that's Om removes everything. And we need a certain level of detachment from everything. We need to understand by being detached. Yet, unless you're ready to go off and take total sannyas, I advise still doing the other mantras as well. But everything is contained in Om.
There's something that's bringing up a conundrum that I always have about karma.
Yes.
Let's say, I've seen people do this. They want to just, they're sick of it all, so they would go off and chant Om, and they get deep shit.
What do you mean?
Well, they weren't ready. Right? It's like their eyes were bigger than their stomach.
Yes. Yes.
And, a lot of people who just, we can't overcome our karmas, can we? I mean, you can't just say, okay, I just want God now, so I'm just going to go chant Om, forget all this Jyotish, it's too hard, and all these other mantras.
Well, the big thing about moksha is you can do everything to get ready for moksha, but the bottom line is Bhagwan gives moksha to you when it's Guru Kripa, when grace comes. So moksha will come when it's time for moksha to come. So you can want to throw off all your karmas and go right off, but it doesn't mean that you'll actually be successful. Yeah.
Isn't that something as a Jyotishi you should encourage your clients to go through their karmas?
It depends on the chart.
On the chart.
What if you saw that the person was a sannyas and they keep trying to have a job?
Right.
I for example, there's this one woman who constantly bothers me. Who you look at her chart and she's a sannyas. It's multiple sannyas combinations in the chart. She wants to get married and have kids. Actually, she wants to have kids. It's not even the marriage thing. She wants to have kids. She has this, female, just innate love of wanting to have kids. And so she's terribly attached to finding a partner to have kids, yet there's a sannyas yoga in her chart. Not until the dasha comes that will actually activate that sannyas yoga fully will she realize. Before then she will suffer. Because those sannyas yogas aren't letting her have a long-term relationship where she'll be able to fulfill the other things. What can we do? I told her. I saw it in the chart. She doesn't believe. I took the chart to Sanjay to make sure that I wasn't, being biased in any way. He said the same thing.
How soon is it till her sannyas dasha kicks in?
I can't remember. Yeah.
So is
A
it
good decade or two.
one
Well, look at
or both of
Prabhupada.
the two
Prabhupada
both of the
had-
planets involved in the yoga? One or both of them?
Prabhupada took sannyas. I think he has sannyas yoga being caused by Mercury and Venus, and it was either Mercury Venus or Venus Mercury Dasha that was. Yeah. And he tried in business a few times. He had a not very fun time with his wife, and he suffered for quite some bit until he took sannyas. He took sannyas, and he had temples and shishya all over the world.
Wow.
So what happens when there's sannyas yogas in the chart? Life is terrible until the person actually takes sannyas. Then you have people that try and take sannyas that don't have sannyas yogas, and they're causing themselves suffering at that level. I looked at a chart a few days ago. It was a guy used to be with ISKCON, but he's a little bit not in the actual ISKCON framework. He's a little bit out of the... he's more independent, but still Krishna conscious, spreading a little bit. I don't want to call him crazy. Very different when someone's eccentric, very eccentric, and he's having this terrible problem. He wants a girlfriend, but he doesn't want to have sex with her. And he can't get a girlfriend because he doesn't want to be with her. And no woman will be with him, and they want the full relationship, or they don't want to be with them.
He wants some kind of spiritual partner.
He wants a spiritual partner. And you look at his chart, he has sannyas yogas from Atmakaraka. But that's it. It's not from the Vamsha Lagna, it's not from Rashi.
So you go into the image.
At a soul level, he's a sannyas. The image would be just from Aruda. Yeah. Or if Venus is not involved in the sannyas yoga. Venus has to be removed from... we have to renounce Venus in order to get that true sannyas. Because a lot of people want the sannyasin thing, and then they're going off and having 10 girlfriends as their big Swamiji. So, So Venus has to be removed for full sannyas from the chart. And so it's at a soul level. At a soul level, he's a sannyas. And he's trying to manifest that soul level on other levels, but on other levels why does he want a girlfriend? If he's a true sannyas, he doesn't need a girlfriend. But the Rashi wants a girlfriend, the Navamsha. It's not from the Vamsha Lagna, it's not from Rashi. So in all his interaction, he wants that partner in his life, but at a soul level, so there's quite the conflict there. So Vairagya is like this. It's a whole story, and it can go many different ways. The person can be a sannyas on the outside and not at the soul level.
So ideally, would it be on
Reality.
Yeah, life is tough.
Yeah.
Ideally, would you have it in your Navamsha, Rashi, and Punya?
The more you have it, the better sannyas you are. If you have a little bit, then there's sannyas on some level and not on other levels. And how a person integrates that or not integrates that depends on other combinations.
So combinations for sannyas, I know one is 36.
Back to Om.
Robert Koch just wrote a whole
Robert just wrote a whole book on it. There's
whole book.
Lakshmi Ramesh gave a 6-hour lecture on it in Puri.
Alright, I'll look it up.
There's
Just punch it in, sannyas yoga.
It's
Okay.
on the yogas, in the yogas thing. The yogas workshop in Puri. 2 Januaries ago. Lakshmi talked on
This isn't our Lakshmi.
Lakshmi Ramesh.
No, this is another Lakshmi.
Yeah. So Om. One more thing I want to do with Om. Just a little meditation. Now, there's different, how do we say Om? There's big debates, and different people will disagree and say, this is how you say it. Other people say, this is how you say it. It goes on and on and on. I say it 2 different ways. My Sanskrit teacher taught me to say it one way. My yoga teacher taught me to say it a different way. My yoga teacher taught me based on tantric a tantric way of saying with it and working with it, and when I do various tantric mantras and things of that nature, I do it the way he taught me. When I'm doing more Vedic mantras and things of that nature, I do it the way my Sanskrit teacher taught me. How he taught me was to keep the same tone. And so a lot of people, you hear them say, "Oh," or they'll start low and go high, or there are various, and they even sometimes break the different ways. The way my Sanskrit teacher taught me was keep it the same. That same, no up, no down. Now, Guruji teaches before Om to do to meditate on the rishis of Om. My yoga teacher teaches to meditate on each sound of the Om before meditating on Om. So I've taken and put the two things together. You meditate on the rishi of the one sound, meditate on the sound. Meditate on the rishi of the other sound, meditate on the sound. Meditate on the rishi, meditate on the sound. So, who read the article that Gail had sent the link to?
I've been part of it, and I copied it.
Okay. So, why I had you read this article was I wanted you to have a little connection to the actual rishis. That way, because we're going to talk right now about the rishis of Om. And there's 3 rishis of Om. Anybody know the rishis?
You mean from that article?
That's not in the article. The article talks about the rishis.
Right.
I'm going to talk about the rishis of Om, and you'll see that they're those same rishis.
Sounds like a money. I don't see it.
So, is ruled by Gautama Rishi. Or not ruled, is the rishi of, the perceiver of was Gautama Rishi. And you can see Gautama Rishi here, yes?
You mean
Gautama. Now, Gotras are all coming from these rishis here. And there's Gautama Gotra. And if we look, the Buddha was Gautama Gotra. Gautama Buddha. So the Hindus call him Gautama Buddha. The Buddha that comes from the Gautama lineage. Now the Buddhists want nothing to do with the Vedic reality. So they call him Sakyamuni Buddha. He's from the Sakya family. They don't want to have anything to do with Gautama. But if you look from the Hindu perspective, he's Gautama Buddha. He's coming from this rishi's lineage. So he is part of Hinduism. He's coming from this rishi. Very important. So Gautama. And Gautama is is Brahma. Brahma is a Rajasic. Mercury is a Rajasic planet. Buddha is a Vishnu avatar of Mercury. Then we have the U. And U is Atri Rishi. And then we have the Anuswar or Anunasika, which was seen by Bharadwaj Rishi. You can see all these rishis right here. You can see where they are in the sky. That means that they saw Om. So you can look up and see the rishis that saw Om.
How do you spell Bard?
Bharadwaj. Remember Sanskrit, just like it sounds. Bharadwaj. Now, rishis of SJC. As you know, we're Vyasa SJC. I think, what is it? Atri SJC is Sarvani in Delhi. Narasimha's Gautama SJC, yes? I think so. and is Jaimini, and Sarjeet Potter in Singapore is Bhardwaj, SJC. So those are the rishis there. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is Vyasa one of these 7?
Nope. Vyasa,
Jisti is which one?
Jaimini. Jaimini's not there, one of those.
Okay.
Vishwamitra, you see Vishwamitra there? Or is it
The article?
Vishwamitra and Vashishta? Vashishta's Parashara's father. And or Parashara's grandfather. And Vyasa's Parashara's son. So okay, so we're in the line there.
Okay, now these 7 rishis, are they the original ones that cognize the Vedas?
Yeah, they're the primary rishis.
All Vedas kind of flows through them.
They're the primary rishis of the Vedas. Yeah.
And is Vyasa
There's 1,000 rishis of the crown, of the petals of the crown chakra. These are the primary 7.
Now is Vyasa, this is probably a elementary question, but is Vyasa the one that wrote down the Mahabharata?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And is Vashishta the one that wrote the Vashishta Yoga? That book?
He didn't write it.
I mean,
He
there
taught
was
it.
He taught it.
Yeah. Yoga Vashishta.
Yoga Vashishta, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good stuff. And so he had, I can't remember his son's name, and then his son had Parashara. And then Parashara had Vyasa. And so what happened was, all these rishis, they were giving teachings. What we have now of the Vedas is just a drop of what they were actually teaching. And it was a huge ocean. There were so many teachings that they had. And Vyasa saw that Kali Yuga was coming. He was born just before Kali Yuga. And he compiled and organized this information so that it would make it through Kali Yuga. And that's why I picked Vyasa. He's not the actual perceiver, but he took what all the other rishis had seen and he worked on it all.
I guess that's what you're doing. Because you're kind of saying every Parashara's son. Okay, it's not Parashara's son.
And this is a text here called Yoga Yajnavalkya. And in the pranayama section, Yajnavalkya says, balancing prana and apana together is said to be pranayama. Pranayama is said to consist of exhale, inhale, and holding. These 3 components of pranayama, namely exhale, inhale, and holding, are the nature of the 3 syllables, A, U, and Anunasika. Thereby pranayama is the form of Om. Mm-hmm. So, just one meditation that I want to eventually, we'll start class with from now on, to focus our minds, is an Om meditation where we work with Om, chanting on the inhale, holding the breath, chanting U, and exhaling, chanting the Anunasika. And because we're holding, we're not going to be doing it out loud. So we're going to start first by out loud chanting the sounds individually. So if we look, we have our first sound is And who's the rishi?
Gautama.
So we touch our head, or we're putting, on our head, we're opening that part of the crown chakra that's connected to Gautama. And we say, Om Gautamaye Namaha.
Om Gautamaye Namaha.
And then we chant, Ah. sometimes people do they put the in there with an anuswar, Om Gotamaye Namaha. The big thing is we're invoking Gautama. Even if you don't use the Sanskrit, you're invoking Gautama, that perception of Rishi Gautama. He perceived and what he perceived at the level of what it meant, what it is, and what the sound is. So by invoking him, we're trying to get to that level of as well. And then we have Atri. So Om Atriye Namaha.
Om Atriye Namaha.
And then Bhardwaj. Om Bhardwajye Namaha. And in some of my yoga classes, we do a lot more. But let's go for now just right to the pranayama aspect, so we can get on to more Jyotish. No, we'll just with the breath. So sitting up straight, inhale, and internally chant as you inhale. Hold at the top and chant internally. Ooh. And on the exhale. And inhaling Holding ooh. Exhaling. And continue for a few breaths. Remember, the mental sound is very important. So see if you can make the stopping of the breath and the starting of the breath very soft. And as you're making that soft, when you stop it, you hold, and when you start, very soft. Also make the sound transition between the letters very soft. So you're inhaling. And then you hold and go to, and then you start breathing. So it becomes a nice steady Om. Yet still inhaling, holding, and exhaling. be quiet for a second, just listen to the breath. And so this is a great way to begin before your other mantras. To start with Om. To get to that level. And we'll do more and more Om as we, more and more intricate ways to meditate on Om through different classes. So next I want to work with the D60 deities. So we're in the perfect state of mind to work with the D60 deities, yes?